Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. And it has been a few days since me and thee got to sit and talk about some football things, but as we are edging closer and closer and beginning to knock on the door for the true start of the season, it means it's time to get a wee bit serious. The Champions League qualifiers are almost here. Our squad's just been submitted. Are we ready? Let's find out. And it is funny, right, because I know this will sound like, oh, CJ's just being dramatic, or he's hyping up the game too much, or he's putting too much pressure on early. It's still very early, but this upcoming game is absolutely vital to not only our Champions League or European campaign, but I think it's absolutely vital to our entire season and could drastically change the trajectory if we're going to have a good season or a great season, if you catch my drift, right? Not only with the lure of European football, that if we qualify through the next stage and then we get to the Champions League, of course, the type of player we could bring in, because that is a different type of lure to throw out to players and bring them up here and be a part of the project, because what else are you selling them? It's not going to be playing the same team 75 times a season because there's barely any teams in our league, you know what I mean? It is playing in front of the Ibrox crowd. It is the chance to win silverware, but it's also the European nights. That is the sell. And again, there's no much brighter lights than the lights that are on a Champions League night. So that could be vital if we want to increase our team, then add this and add that. Still, well, what's left with this window? Again, Champions League and a good start in these qualifiers could make that even freaking better, but also sidestepping that type of stuff. The new, if we're just talking brass tacks and we're just talking the facts, the money that the Champions League brings into a club and gives you in terms of being able to spend and everything, like new owners or whatever, but just makes your club financially stronger, is there and doesn't even really need to be spoken about. But again, it is vital to our club, and it is crap that money does run the game these days, you know what I mean? Because we as fans, you know what I mean, no matter who you support, we all grew up wanting to play it. Unfortunately, the majority of us want to get enough to actually play it. We romanticise football, we think of it as a storyline and a dream and everything. That's what it means to us. But again, we are fans on the outside looking in. When you're actually branching over there and when you go in to the game of football, for players, to agents, to staff, to board, to chairman, to shareholders, everything is driven on that bottom line, which is bringing in the money. And again, no other competition brings in the money like a Champions League. I know people, I can't be bothered with the Champions League. I've seen some comments, but I wish I could get away from it and just focus on the Europa League. We have better runs, we've got a chance of doing this. And I understand people's opinions on that, because look, some of the runs we've had in Europe, especially in the Europa League, has been absolutely sensational, and I've loved it. You know what I mean? I've sat in many hotels out of the world vlogging these types of games and reacted to some incredible performances. The Road to Seville is genuinely a peak highlight. Some of the experiences we had that season is absolutely built in to the old membrane. But again, at the same time, as when we want to progress our club forward, when we want to go ahead and really bring in top players and solidify ourselves as a club playing at the highest European level, again, it is getting to the Champions League, it is getting us in there, and it's bringing in that money, because again, we do play in Scottish football, and if we are wanting all these players and improving this, improving that, you need to make the Champions League, because you're not getting it for the commercial side of the Scottish football that's getting held back and is in the dark ages because clowns are running this league. Let's not forget how badly as a country we are run. The prize money for winning it, for doing this, TV deals, it is in the dark ages. No longer are we behind the top 10 leagues in the world, but you're looking at second divisions in some of these countries. How are they earning more than that? They're earning, you get more prize money for coming last in that than you do. It's all really embarrassing how Scottish football is actually run. And again, the way that it is going and the further behind that we are a country are falling behind the rest of world football, it seems like, again, just adds more and more stock and really adds the importance of qualifying for the Champions League to almost overcome the shortcomings of Scottish football. So it is very early, it is the first game, but the importance of this game and starting off our season right really can't be overstated in my personal opinion. This is huge. And that is what leads us to today's video, because for so many years we sat together frustrated and moaning about the previous board, no signing anybody, dragging our feet here, no pulling the trigger with this player, and we've limped into these types of Champions League qualifiers and again, let's be honest, failed to overcome. Yes, there's been some bad reffing. Yes, there's been some bad decisions in gamey footballs. But overall, we as a fan base going into the Champions League qualifiers have been frustrated because we could sense the failure coming. We could sense we'd never really done it a lot. But now, ladies and gentlemen, if it gone down the road or the rabbit hole of a new era, new all this malarkey, you look at it in terms of a signing. Before our first Champions League qualifier, we brought in 7 summer signings. That is a massive difference to how we've been feeling and gone into these games in previous seasons, and I'm hoping that makes a massive difference to so we can go ahead and overcome our failings over the last couple of years and again get us back to the dance that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst went ahead and got us into. I know that never really turned out well for us when we did make it to the Champions League, but again we were playing American PE teacher and a 12-year-old at centre back versus the European elite. It was never going to play out. Our injuries ravished us that season, but again it's established ourselves back in it, it's crossing that boundary, and hopefully this is what we're here to talk about today, is every single signing we've made this summer hasn't been a project, hasn't been for this, hasn't been for that, it's to directly impact our path to the Champions League, and that's shown with every single signing being included in the 25-man list we're about to break down over the next couple minutes. So it is very important, but again there is some eye-widening inclusions but also some exclusions as well that sort of again graphs and tells you the path and what our squad could potentially look like under the gaffer Russell Martin. So I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get into this. We'll go with goalie, defence, midfield and attack, and we'll break it all down. Now a wee quick inclusion as well, by the way, because we're not really going to dive into the rest of the names, but there is a B squad that's included into those, because I see people complaining online and gone mental that Bailey Rice isn't included. Finlay Curtis, what's the point? Hey, all this, we've been lied to. Again, they're not a part of the 25-man squad because they're part of the B squad, and it's just working your numbers and making sure and maybe taking advantage of an exploit you can do. You know what I mean? You could argue Curtis and Bailey Rice should be in the 25, but they're eligible for the B squad, so why take spots away when you can include and strengthen your squad depth? Because you know what we're like in terms of injuries. So Curtis and Bailey Rice, they're all included, but they're in the B squad, so don't freak out when you didn't hear them over the next couple of minutes. But starting with the old goalkeeping position, we of course have Kieran Wright as the third choice. We then have Liam Kelly and Jackie B battling out to be the number one. Although Russell Martin went ahead and said in one of his most recent press conferences that he doesn't believe in a true number one, which again might just be a wee soundbite and a wee carrot to dangle in front of both goalkeepers, but it's clearly there to push goalkeepers right to the very end and keep them challenging, keep the training session high and stop that I'm the first choice, I'm safe, I'm the backup choice, I'm alright being here. No, he wants both goalkeepers really challenging. But gun to my head, who I believe will be starting in the sticks on the first game versus Panathinaikos, I think it will be Jack Butland. And I want to throw something your way, right? Because I have spent a lot of this summer looking into a lot of our players and seeing what the hell's went wrong. And Jackie Butland's a curious case. For 6 months, he looked like the best goalkeeper we've had since McGregor was diving about here winning Player of the Year. I was thinking, wow, what a pair of gloves to try and fit into Alan McGregor's. And it looked like Butland went in and they were absolutely perfect fit. And then it looked like he's never seen a pair of goalie gloves over the next 12 months, as he was absolutely horrific. I think his confidence went. I think after he wasn't selected for England, I think there was something that crushed him in there, that no matter how well I play, I'm never going to get back to my dream of playing for my country. I don't know what it was, but his performances went through a roof and his confidence went through the floor. But see, at the same time, if we are trying to be a wee bit fair to a goalkeeper that could potentially be the number one in a couple of days' time, by the way, has he had much help in front of him? You know what I mean? With the centre-backs that's been playing, the way they defend crosses, you know what I mean? They play on mute, none of them talk, it doesn't ken, there's no communication back there. And now we have strengthened the back line, and I think we will continue to before the end of the transfer window. If we strengthen that back door, could Jack Butland find himself getting back to his confidence and go back to what he looked like through the first 6-7 months of his Rangers career? That might be what Russell Martin's gambling on, and that might be what we might need to hope for, as there's not too many rumours of sniffings around Jackie B leaving this football club, and the wages that he's on, you're expecting him to be playing, and if he's playing, I want him back to Super Jack rather than Simple Jack, the unfortunate we've seen over the last 12 months. So that's my opinion on the goalkeeping position. Of course it is going to be Jackie B in my personal opinion, but I think Liam Kelly will continue to chip at the heels. But I think long term in Russell Martin's reign, to fit what he wants to do with the boys fit, I do expect him to be wanting some sort of goalkeeper, but when you've got the wages out there and the expenditures that's already in there, it's not really a place you could potentially throw money at and willing to accept losses, because if you get Jack Butland back to his goalkeeping best, you've got a good goalie there. And I think that might be what Rangers are gambling on. And I think it'd be rude to start off the defenders list without mentioning the skipdog Mr. James Henry Tavernier. We then have Max Aarons, one of the newest additions in there, which has a very, very interesting position he's been training and playing in, which might directly impact this game as well. Speaking of that position, we obviously have Jeffy in there, and then the rest are centre backs, as we have Manny Fernandez, we have Nasser, we have Leon King, we have Big Soapy Suter. And that's it, barring a mistake made later on in the Rangers statement. That's it. In terms of the defenders, there was no space for Ben Davies, who, again, some people speculate because he played so well last year, there could be a chance to fit. It looks like that decision is made. Robin Proper's obviously flirting back and forth with Holland, but they're trying to deal with all the other side of the game and the money side of the game. That's just the way football is. So he's obviously excluded. That one's done and dusted. But so is a little Ridvan Yilmaz, which brings me back to the previous conversation when we're talking about Max Aarons in the areas he could potentially play for his football club, as I think we finally made the decision on Ridvan that I did say, despite me liking him over a year and a half ago, that he's just the Duracell bunny. Comes in, plays well for a couple of games, breaks down, and then he's gone for half the season. Injuries has cost what Ridvan could have been at this football club, and he's nowhere near consistent enough on the park, and he's nowhere near reliable enough to be called up on the park. So if it is Ridvan's last season at this club and he will be getting moved on shortly, do I agree with the decision? Absolutely, as I do with every single exclusion in that defensive list. Both Ben Davies, Robin Proper, and Ridvan Yilmaz. Think about the wages that's just sitting there. It just depresses you when you go and sit and like, oh my, how badly were we run? The wages that's sitting there, not even included in a massive Champions League qualifier. Why? Because they're not good enough. But again, with Ridvan not being included, that does open the door for Max Aarons to potentially play at left back, where he has been playing in a couple bounce games and he has been training and playing. So for everyone wondering, is it Max Aarons or Tav, or is it Max Aarons at right wing back, or Tavernier at centre back, or is Tav going to go? All these crazy scenarios we've talked ourselves into throughout the entire freaking season, which we might see in terms of the first game of our Champions League qualifier, is Tav at right back and Max Aarons at left back to help Jeffy, obviously, who's still an incredibly young player, at that left back role. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Big decision already made by the gaffer, and a clear sign who's a part of the team and who's no. Now over to the midfield, where big decisions were equally made in that role in terms of who's in and who's out, which again would surprise a couple people. But starting off with the obvious, the players that are included are of course the newest summer signings to this football club. You've got Tello in there, who a lot of people were saying he was going to be injured, he was going to be in, he was going to be out. He's included in the squad, so that's a good sign in my personal opinion. You obviously have Gazama, who was obviously one of the most recent players addition, and we have Joe, who everyone's seemingly forgotten about, but I'm very excited about Joe Rothwell. I really am. That's the newest players, but then you've got the likes of Mo Diamandi, you've got wee Raskin. Raskin's in the Champions League squad, baby! Please let the transfer window slam shot with a wee Belgian in this Rangers team. But besides the word we, you normally chuck in Connor Barnes. He is obviously included in there as well, as is Robbie Fraser, which I assume is a mistake, as he's been playing left back and playing very well last season for Livingston, by the way. Now again, am I expecting him to be in and amongst it in a Rangers team all season? No, but he is a strength option in there. And again, when you look at it, Max Aarons playing left back's fine to say, but then who's playing right back if something happens to Tav? You know what I mean? You've got to have the strength in there, and I think Robbie just gives a wee bit of balance now. While we try and shift out Ridvan and get rid of him and everything like that, you've then got on paper Max Aarons and Tav protecting the right, and then on the left you've got Robbie Fraser and Jeff Day, which again is a wee bit more scary when you're talking about Champions League qualifiers. But the young lad played really well, and again, I'm not saying he will be directly involved in these games, but am I worried in case he is called upon at any point? No. But getting back to your list, we obviously have Oscar Cortes, who I'm hoping just puts all the pieces together and looks like the player he could potentially have been when he first joined here on loan. I'm hoping Oscar comes in, Oscar on the left, Gazam on the right. There is potential there, but Taylor's obviously been playing out on the left. But come on, Oscar, just turn that on. You obviously have Lyle Cameron, who a lot of people has forgotten about, but I'm a big fan of, especially his time at Dundee. Will that translate to Rangers when there is that pressure? I'm hoping so as well. He could be one of those ones that goes, oh, man, what a wee player. He's got a wee bit of an eye a goal, got an eye for an assist as well. Could be important if he is called upon. And then moving on to some of the players that are maybe surprise inclusions to some. Well, one of them certainly will be. But another name that is included, again, was a lot of fans were earmarking to get him out the football club ASAP, and that was none other than Barami. But Barami has apparently been playing very, very well. Not only what we've seen with his fantastic assist and performance in that second half in the one friendly we have been able to see, but everyone hearing behind the scenes says Barami is really bought in, he's really excelling and being able to play football and actually having a team that's built to play football rather than go and chase the ball like you're a Jack Russell at a park. When you go, run, long ball, long ball, long ball, whatever the crap robotic nature we tried to build under Big Phil. Climb on and then into Barry. It looks like we're actually trying to play football now, and he is again one that surprised Russell Martin and looking very, very tidy. He could be a guy for us. But speaking of guy for us, that leads us to the last name that was included in the midfield list, and that is none other than Kieran career mode Dowell. And you know, we made the video called The Other Guys a wee while ago where we talked about some players that could surprise Russell Martin and players that fit him, and obviously Kieran Dowell was one of those ones that we listed as, again, he's certainly got attributes that Russell Martin likes, being able to play anywhere, can do a wee bit ever. And now we've heard from Russell Martin's move that he is a part of the leadership group, he is a big character in the dressing room, and he likes him a lot the way he goes about his business. And again, the performances, he's scored, he's assisted in all these games, he's looked like a very, very tidy player for Rangers. It's just a wee bit scary to me, you know what I mean? Because I didn't think he looked good in the friendly we saw. Can he put it to pieces? Yes, he's a good trainer. Yes, he's good behind the scenes. But can he put it all the pieces together when that shot gets heavier, when everyone's expecting him to be a player? Well, here's the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, because again, the lights didn't get much brighter than a Champions League qualifier. I think 90% of the fan base would have preferred to move him on, especially with the wage that he's on, but Russell Martin likes him. He's apparently playing very, very well. There's always people that surprise his new gaffers, etc. Could Kieran Dowell be the guy? Could Kieran Dowell eventually become the player we all hoped he would be not too long ago when he was first signed? It's a hell of a big call from Russell Martin, because he's no daft, he's no dumb. He knows what people think of Kieran Dowell, and they're frustrated. You know what I mean? He was one of the ends that hid in a penalty shoot as well. He got subbed on to take one, filled his nappy hiding behind backups and left backs and goalies and everything like that. Well, no, he had a very good season at Birmingham. Maybe he's refound his confidence. Maybe he is put all the pieces together. But again, it's a Champions League qualifier. Way to put your money where your mouth is in terms of Russell Martin. Certainly no hiding away for the big decision. And again, maybe I'm just an idiot, ladies and gentlemen, but I can't help but root for guys. You know what I mean? See, when you write them off, you say, done, dusty. But then they get an opportunity. I really hope he does take it. It makes us all look like idiots. But he is one that when I seen, I went, oh wow, we really are in Kieran Dowell. That's about as big as an example as you can get, because other players that played equally as good for Birmingham last season, Ben Davies, is sitting in the house, but Dowell's no. So Dowell's a part of the future, and I'm very interested to know what your thoughts and opinions are on that. But there is also a couple notable exclusions as well, letting them know where futures lies elsewhere. Jose Sivuente, do you know what I mean? It's been raining for the last week, so that was done and dusted. But Ross McCausland as well, who I almost feel sorry for it in a way, you know what I mean? Because people forget he wasn't hand-picked for the academy or the youth team, whatever people want to say, to go. Zach Rudden was picked, right? We were doing it the barest bones, but Zach Rudden was impressing. Zach came on, looked very, very good, but he broke down after 20 minutes, and then we scrambled and reached out to Ross, who was maybe no ready, quote-unquote, to be a part of the first team, but he came in, worked his arse off, had some nice moments, scored some nice goals. But we talked about it at the time, there was a bit of Glenn Middleton syndrome and Glenn Middleton-isms about him, you know what I mean? Looks good at that, but he's a young player, he's taking everything to a duck to water, but there will be the decline, there will be the old valley. It's about if he can bounce back and get back to the level, and every single time, really, over the last 6 to 8 months, he was given an opportunity, besides a phenomenal goal that I was celebrating with my missus over in Sweden at Malmo. It's been disappointment, and obviously we remember his last official appearance last season in terms of the Aberdeen game was truly embarrassing. There doesn't seem to be a spot for him in the Rangers team, and I think this is quite clear that the fact that he's not included in the B or the 25-man squad. So yeah, it's a big decision made regarding a youngster as well, Very interested to know if you agree with that decision. On to the forwards, and it should make a lot of people very, very happy with the current inclusions we have right now, as we obviously have Danilo, who I think's probably going to be our starter versus Panathinaikos. He's been playing really, really well. I know he's a wee bit hit and miss in terms of the friendly, but the more recent friendly games that's been happening at the club, he's been scoring, he's been assisting, has plenty of goal contributions over his last 3 games, and again, he's just a Russell Martin player. That live wire, runs here, runs there, links up that, links. He's just a Russell Martin player. So it's why we talked about it all summer, why he could get a redemption. That redemption could be in the Champions League, or it could be a familiar frustration regarding the Brazilian striker. But I hope and I pray that he does go ahead and deliver. But the also inclusions are Gentles, who was very good to see. Big Josh getting in, and amongst it, I think he looked promising in his friendly. Now, is he ready to challenge for the striking position? No, but again, you do need depth. You do need, if you're 1, 2 or 3 or breakdown, somebody at least that can put yourself about. Big moment for the big man. But moving on to the names that we really need to talk about. First one being Mr. Hamza Egeman, who again we were all absolutely terrified not too long ago that he would be moving on. We were waving goodbye to the Moroccan Prince. We spoke about it right here, but we also spoke about Leo R, one of the Ians that just come in, drop. If they didn't get their way, they go away and sign other people, and I'd be absolutely delighted in that video if we're sitting with the Champions League qualifier with Egeman in amongst it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer accepting first bid or accepting scraps and pennies for our players. If you want our promising players, pay for them. That's the message for Rangers, and I like we're in a financial position to do that. There's no more, here's 22 pence for Cantwell, here's 50p for Sam Lammers, none of that anymore. You want our players, you pay what the actual going rate is. And we stood firm on Egeman. And now, for me, we've got a very, very good player that I know can do the business in Scottish football and has performed at the European level for this club either. So, oh yeah, Egeman was the sold to Leo. Cool, mate. We've got a fantastic player. I'm excited. But last but certainly not least in terms of the striking position, we actually have the man that apparently has been sold 15 times in the last 22 days. Danny's Miracle, there's it, soon to be announced. All that crap for pretend folk pretend to know inside information. We obviously have CD number 9, and if you step back and you look at our striking positions going in to this qualifier, putting all your frustrations and all that to one side, even my own frustrations, you're looking at Danilo, who's fit, Egeman, who's fit, Dessers is fit. That's a very, very strong 3 options for a striking position, and you could look at it in terms of that striking positions and that core and compare it to the depth we've had in previous Champions League qualifiers, and it's massively, massively different. And I feel that way when I step back and look at everyone. Maybe the goalkeeper, because I know everyone's out on Jackie Butland, and I get it. All I can hope is he does go back to where he is now that he's got some defenders in front of him. But you look at the other positions and you go, yeah, it is stronger in there. There isn't a young unproven laddies in there. There isn't, oh no, he's not going to be fit in time, or he's not injured. Why have we no signed this? We've strengthened in a lot of key areas, and they have been working hard with Russell Martin, so they're ready to go. So when I step back and look at this squad list, I'd say I'm actually much more happier with this one than I have been over the last couple of years when I've been screaming in the previews, what the hell have we been doing? So that's the list again. Baylor Rice and Finlay Curtis, etc. are all in the B team, so you didn't need to worry, or the B list I should say, so you shouldn't need to worry with that one. There is players there, there is options there. You obviously can add 2 more players up to it, so if we do sign anybody, or if somebody does leave or a bid comes in, you know how these things go. But that's it, as I'm currently recording today's video. That's the latest information with the club, and that's how I feel about our squad depth right now. Is it perfect? No. In a perfect world, we would have signed this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy, but we're not there yet. We also have a phenomenally big squad right now. We need players to leave the freaking club first, and I think you will start to see some of them move on that will then maybe start a couple of players coming in as well. But our squad's absolutely massive. There's wages draining this football club sitting in the house not being a part of training. We need to clear the swamp out and then start adding some very, very pretty little seats. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's my thoughts and opinions on the squad, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be negative to try and get a wee bit of traction in these videos. That's pretty damn strong compared to what we've been. Now, will that translate to success? I certainly hope so, but again, we'll go ahead and dive more into this game when it comes to the preview in terms on Monday. But that's me for now. I'm going to send you off to your weekend right now. If there is any latest and official and real news, we'll talk about it right here on the channel. If not, I'll let you go about and enjoy your day. Before we do wrap up today's video though, shout out to the channel members. There's been so many new sign-ups and all that. We greatly appreciate everyone's support in the channel. Shout out to the guys that have signed up to the Channel Legend memberships, and also a massive thank you to everyone who's signed up to the supporter range as well. And again, I know you might get sick of hearing it, but again, thanks for tuning in and watching this. You know, I didn't take it for granted, and I'll always say thank you to each and every single person that stakes out their time to sit and watch these freaking videos and talk about some football. It's nearly starting. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me know if you're happy, mad, sad, or glad. Do you think we need more? Do you think we need less in certain positions? Do you need to get rid of these players? Redemption here, redemption here. There's a lot to talk about. Interested to see what the comments are going to be. But until next time, I've been CJ092. Thank you all so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.